Hart and Char had just woken up in their wooden house. Today was Hart's first day of school, and before he left, Char had somehow prepared a detailed schedule for him. Char informed Hart that he would likely be placed in Class C based on his entrance exam results. However, class assignments could change based on periodic exams. So, Char was confident that her older brother would soon move up to Class A. After reviewing his schedule, Hart realized that Char had chosen difficult subjects that were meant for older students. Char had selected them because she believed they would be easy for Hart. Initially, Hart wanted to protest, but upon reflection, he saw this as a great opportunity. He just needed to fail all those subjects and disappoint his teachers. When Hart was about to enter the teleportation door, Char asked for a hug first. After a while, Hart bid farewell. Hart and Lisa finally arrived at the dormitory through the teleportation door. As they stepped out, they were immediately greeted by Iris, who was naturally curious about the girl beside Hart. Hart then explained that this girl was his servant, Lisa. For some reason, Iris stared at Lisa with a puzzled expression. Afterward, Iris introduced herself as well, and they shook hands. On the way to class, Iris couldn't believe that Hart was placed in Class C while she was in Class A, like Char. Iris was also confident that Hart would soon move up to Class A. When Iris parted ways with them, Lisa once again felt something odd about Iris. Upon closer inspection, Lisa wasn't sure if Iris was a human or a demon. As far as Hart knew, Iris was just a human. However, Iris was not a bad person, so they decided to let it be. After that, Hart entered Class C. For some reason, all the students, even the homeroom teacher, were staring at Hart. He suddenly remembered that there was a rumor about him defeating Schneidel. Shortly after, the class began. The homeroom teacher explained that this class was in the middle and students could move up or down. Therefore, she decided to hold another exam today. Hart would use this opportunity to demonstrate how foolish he was. After receiving the exam paper, Hart felt suspicious because the questions were too easy. He remembered that Char had already studied this material for 6 months in a special class. Hart didn't understand why the homeroom teacher was giving questions that even a child could answer. After thinking for a while, Hart decided to answer some of the questions correctly. He aimed for a score of 60 with careless mistakes. The exam was completed and graded. The homeroom teacher said the results were not very satisfying. The average score was 20. It was understandable since even Class B had an average score of 50 on the same exam. However, she was impressed that one student had scored 60, even though the answers were somewhat careless. That student was Hart. After some thought, it wasn't the students at this academy who were too foolish. Hart's intelligence was actually quite ordinary. It was just that Char was exceptionally intelligent. Thanks to the exam, the homeroom teacher would recommend him to move up to Class A. In the next class, Hart was allowed to join Class A. There, he met Iris and Laius, who immediately attached themselves to him. Suddenly, the teacher who would be instructing them entered the classroom. The teacher was a serious-looking blonde woman named Oratoria Belcom. She specialized in elemental affinity theory. Oratoria immediately reprimanded Hart, Iris, and Laius for daring to talk in the front row. She would teach them sternly if they couldn't answer her questions, especially Hart and Iris. Oratoria had heard that both of them had joined Tierietta's research class. For some reason, it seemed she had a personal grudge against Tierietta. Soon, the class began. Today, Oratoria would discuss the primary and secondary elements and how to measure them. She asked Iris to step forward and touch the magic energy measuring crystal. Her current magic level was 5, with a maximum level of 35. Iris possessed all elements. Suddenly, Oratoria asked her to join her research class. Of course, Iris declined. From the example provided by Iris, her primary element was chaos. The other elements appearing below it were secondary elements. However, the information that could be obtained from the crystal was limited. If someone's primary element was mastered at 100%, they wouldn't know how much they mastered their secondary elements. There is ongoing research to measure this value, but there are no concrete results yet. Hart couldn't believe that the measurement was so complicated. He had already developed the ability to measure magical energy. With that ability, the numbers appeared instantly. Oratoria explained that the measurement could be that difficult because the numbers were not always the same. For example, body-enhancing magic activated with the secondary element of fire would have a higher number compared to other fire magic. Oratoria wanted to know Laius' opinion on why this could happen. According to Laius' opinion, perhaps the person was already accustomed to using body-enhancing magic. Laius' approach was quite good, but unfortunately, the hypothesis had been refuted in research. Suddenly, Hart answered that there was a hidden element. In his own magical energy measuring tool, there were many strange terms. Hart considered them hidden elements. He only discussed this with Char, Flay, and Lisa. Oratoria was very surprised at how Hart could know this. After all, it should have been the latest research from Weiss Owl. A few years ago, a mysterious figure had been sending research reports at regular intervals. In those advanced reports, Weiss Owl explained the possibility of hidden elements. They hadn't even informed the king's family about this report. That's why Oratoria regarded Hart as a genius. She now wanted to invite Hart to join her research class as well. Hart became a bit suspicious that Char's true identity might actually be Weiss Owl. After all, she liked to use strange names from her anime knowledge. In the evening, Hart and Iris submitted their forms to Tirietta to join her research class. By the way, the Hart who was there now was a clone. He wanted to return home as he had already submitted his form. Suddenly, there was a loud shout from Polkos. Upon approaching, they found Schneidel with his hands and feet tied up. Polkos was surprised because he had stumbled upon him. It turned out that Tirietta was the one behind it. Schneidel had come to her yesterday, seeking help because he had been affected by strange magic. Since he knew nothing about this magic, he considered it ancient magic. After Tirietta examined him, Schneidel had fainted early this morning. Nobody knew what he had been up to. While Schneidel was present, Tirietta invited Hart and Iris to research the ancient magic affecting Schneidel's body. She then asked Iris to touch his right shoulder. Iris felt like there was a hard circle attached there. Tirietta explained that the circle would compress his shoulder if anyone used healing magic on Schneidel. Interestingly, the circle would pierce anything that wasn't a living being. Tirietta demonstrated this by poking Schneidel's shoulder with a piece of wood. From all these experiments, it could be concluded that it was magic without an element. Tirietta even knew that it was a protective spell created with non-elemental magic. According to the theory, ancient magic is magic not tied to any specific element. Based on some sources, it was said that ancient magic did not deplete magical energy. As evidence, the circle on Schneidel's shoulder had persisted for nearly 2 days. Tirietta was curious about who had cast this magic on Schneidel. Yesterday, Schneidel had insisted on not revealing the perpetrator. Now he was forced to answer. However, he genuinely didn't know the identity of the perpetrator. Schneidel only knew that the person was dressed all in black and had a strange voice. Besides that, Schneidel was afraid of further harm for divulging information about the perpetrator. Based on this information, Tirietta had one person in mind. For several years now, a mysterious defender of justice had suddenly appeared in Count Gordo's territory. His characteristics matched what Schneidel had described. Hart pretended not to know him, but Tirietta mentioned that the defender of justice had also appeared in the capital since Hart's arrival. Suddenly, Tirietta cornered Hart and wanted to know what he was hiding. Hart couldn't handle Tirietta's excessive enthusiasm. Shortly after, the real Hart appeared, taking on the form of Schwarzer the Black Knight. Schwarzer firmly stated that he had no connection whatsoever with Hart. He had come to the capital to eradicate evil. Tirietta suspected that Schwarzer had attacked Schneidel because he knew Schneidel had joined an evil organization. The real Hart had just learned about the existence of the evil organization, so he played along and claimed he knew. Earlier, Schneidel had challenged Schwarzer to a duel. If Schwarzer agreed to cancel the duel, he would release the restraint on his shoulder. As Schwarzer was about to leave, Tirietta had bound him with root magic. Tirietta believed that Schwarzer wouldn't be able to escape from that magic. When Tirietta measured Schwarzer's magical energy, he discovered that his primary element was earth and his strongest secondary element was darkness. He wouldn't release Schwarzer until he answered 271 of her questions. However, Schwarzer could easily release himself. In fact, he made Terrietta immobile with his protective magic. Instead of feeling threatened, Terrietta was impressed with Schwarzer's abilities. Her questions increased to a total of 824. Sometime later, Terrietta needed to go to the toilet. Schwarzer immediately requested that Terrietta not inquire further about him. Schwarzer would only release his magic when Terrietta promised. Initially, Terrietta felt no guilt and was in awe of Schwarzer's negotiation skills. However, because she was in dire need, Terrietta eventually apologized for her actions and promised not to investigate Schwarzer any further. With that agreement, Schwarzer, or the real heart, left and lifted the protective magic on Terrietta.